Okay, what up, Claytriots? It's your boy, Technically Clay, streaming at you from chilly and sunny and all around good vibes, St. Louis, Missouri. I hope you all are having a wonderful time. I know it has been a while, people. I know that you missed me and I missed you. It's been 3 days, 3 days without Technically Clay content. And I might be a little rusty. I might be a little rusty taking 3 days off. I don't know if I don't know if I'll be as content brained as you're used to. But you know what? I think I can get it back. I think I can get it back. So yeah, I hope everybody's having a great day out there. I'm going to go over just briefly. The last few days I had to go into the office. The our boss, bourgeois bosses are all out there forcing us work from home workers to go into the office every once in a while. But all in all, it was a pretty good in office week. In office weeks, we usually just do a lot of just like celebrations and like hanging out and like going to work events, like outside of work events and all that sort of stuff. And overall, I would say it was all, pretty fun. But it does like drain my battery like crazy. So Tuesday and Wednesday, I was working, then I'd get back from work, and then I'd basically start raiding immediately after that. There was no time to stream. Thursday, I probably could have, but to be honest, I was also still just really tired. Didn't really want to stream that day, so I did not. And then obviously, it's impossible, I feel like, for me to get my normal workout schedule in whenever I'm going into the office because I usually just work out over lunch and I can't do that when I go to the office. So there's that as well. So I'm feeling pretty bad in terms of I also ate like shit the entire time because I was, at the office, I was buying food each day basically. So like eating out every day. So yeah, my body's not feeling too hot, but I'll get back into it. I haven't worked out yet. I'm planning on trying to work out today and then work out tomorrow. And that'll be kind of a warm up to get me prepared to go back into next week when I'm planning on, hopping into it in full force. Today I just took off. We had to drop my cat off at the vet that's nearby. She's going into her first of two surgeries, getting one of her chain of breasts removed because she had breast cancer. So, thoughts and prayers depending on your level of religiosity for my kitty cat. I think she'll be fine, but she is on the older side, so sometimes I worry, going into surgeries. But after she gets those two surgeries, then she should hopefully be completely cancer free and can live out the rest of her life in relative peace until she gets some other ungodly disease that I'm sure she's going to get, and then I have to shell out another like $3,000 then or whatever. God knows it's expensive. Having pets that are going through it is very expensive. So I'm off today. I'm planning on just streaming for my normal 2 hours. We'll see how I feel after that. Like I said, I gotta get back into the streamer content mindset. So, but I believe that I can. Oh, and just a quick right off the bat, happy May Day to everybody. Workers across the world. I hope you are all, building your worker power in this era of wealth concentration and capital accumulation. Sometimes it can feel pretty bad out there as a worker. And so, I hope that you're all doing great. It was actually kind of coincidental. I wasn't planning on taking off today for May Day, which I know there was like a somewhat decentralized, not very super well planned general strike idea for today. I just happened to take off today because my cat was getting surgery and I just needed a day off. But I can always just pretend like I'm doing it for that reason. Get some anti-capitalist creds out there. Get some brownie points. Anyway, that's enough of me blathering. Let's go ahead and get on into the news. The thing that I haven't been able to keep up with super great because I've been in the office, and like I said, there's a lot of socializing that's going on there. So I'm not just like, headphones in, like listening to like my, myriad of political shows the entire time. So, I haven't been keeping up too much. So I'm going to be catching up with you guys here. So forgive me if I'm not giving the perfect analysis that you're used to from technically Clay. So let's go ahead and go right into it. We're going to start with Iran stuff. Like, I know that we had a very brief stint of Iran not being the most important thing going on when that one dude allegedly tried to assassinate Trump at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. We had one day where the top news was not Iran, but people very quickly got over that shit. Nobody cares anymore. I mean, I was pretty sure nobody would care pretty quickly after it. Like I've said before, we've normalized violence so much in this country. And I've seen this, this whole song and dance happen multiple times now with Trump. So, I was pretty sure that people wouldn't care within a few days, and I was correct. So, so we're going to start with the real stuff that matters, which is Iran news. So I guess we'll just start with this video. This is going to be Fox News. We're starting off hot. We're starting off with Fox News. And we're going to talk about Iran's economy and hopefully just get some general updates about what's going on with Iran, because I heard that, like, the negotiations are basically falling apart. Like, there's nothing, the negotiations, as far as I know, there's been no sort of like, no delegations are there negotiating. Everybody's just like, we're just in like a standstill right now, is kind of my understanding. So let's watch this video. And let's see what is going on with Iran from the most trusted news source that has ever existed, Fox News. Let's go.
Kirk Leopold is a military analyst and retired U.S. Navy commander of the USS Cole. Kirk, the briefing today for the commander-in-chief about...
Yeah, named after the guy who tried to kill Donald Trump the other day, in case people are... I'm just kidding. That's a joke.
Additional options. What do you think's going to happen here?
Well, I think when you look at it, Jesse, the president always considers options. And I think at the end of the day, Admiral Cooper sat down and said, Mr. President, here are the options we have to strike the final blow if necessary. Because at this point, Iran is backed into a corner. The reality of it is the Ayatollah doesn't matter anymore. The IRGC has taken over the government, the military, the economy. They own it in toto. They are no longer a theocracy. They are a thugocracy because the military is running everything. They are now the target.
Yeah, aka you replaced the more peaceful parts of their government, and you replaced it all with the hardline IRGC people. So congratulations. They are no longer, I guess, a theocracy, if that's what you want to call it that. Although, let's be real, like the IRGC is, I think, generally aligned with like the theocratic organization of government that they have in Iran. So I don't really think that changes anything. And in the end, or the IRGC always had the power, like was always the ones who had the power in the end because they had guns. They were just kind of held back generally from asserting that power and control by Khomeini, like the first Khomeini, not his son, the original one who was killed. Because he wanted to negotiate with the West, where the IRGC didn't. And so since we got rid of him, like he was basically the one holding back, I think, the full and complete power of the IRGC, which we're seeing now.
And I'm sure that Admiral Cooper laid out a very distinct set of target options available for the president as commander-in-chief, and he's going to execute it.
Okay, what's that going to do? Seriously, what's that going to do? You shot like more missiles in the first 5 or 6 weeks of the hot war than you ever have in military conflict history. And that did nothing. It did literally like nothing to them. I don't understand what another barrage of missiles. Are we just going to... Also, we went through 50% of all of our missiles in that first 5 or 6 weeks. So okay, we can go another 5 or 6 weeks of war. And then after that, Iran is off scot-free because we're not able to produce any more missiles. So like, I just don't understand these people, man. I don't understand how anyone buys this shit.
Day clock, it isn't going to matter because at the end of the day, the president has a constitutional responsibility for the national security of the United States, and to date, he has executed it almost flawlessly.
Would you, if you were in charge or advising the president, would you say wait until the blockade really implodes the country? Or would you say, you know what, they need a little extra encouragement, finish off the target list, and see if that drives
Let's see. I'm curious what his answer is here. I'll give my opinion
them
afterwards.
back to the negotiating table?
I think at the end of the day, Jesse, what you're going to see is between the military and the commander-in-chief, they're going to pick the correct timing. We want to do it when we think it is going to have the maximum impact on the Iranian leadership and especially the IRGC to ensure that they understand we are here for the duration. We are going to ensure that you do not get a nuclear weapon nor have any nuclear program because you've shown that you're irresponsible with it.
See, the problem is that either way, they're screwed. Either way, America is screwed. America can't outlast Iran. There's literally no way that America could possibly outlast Iran in a situation where no oil is getting onto the markets. Now, there is some oil getting onto the markets through either shadow fleets or land routes. It might not be as much as before. And there's still probably going to be global shortages that raise the prices, both in America and abroad. But like, yeah, there's whether you decide to go back into the hot war or not, the only like thing that could potentially change like the actual strategic trajectory, and even then I don't think it necessarily would be a full ground invasion, like a full ground occupation, go full Afghanistan style occupation on Iran. Then at least in the interim, if you were able to do that in the interim, you would then be able to maintain that like technically like indefinitely or for a long time until it was so politically toxic in America that you had to pull out like we did in Afghanistan. So yeah, there's just no options here, man. And everybody pretending like there are is just they're living in a fantasy world.
We need to also press for the ballistic missile program to be dismantled, proxy groups to be done, and the Strait of Hormuz to be open. Whatever is going to achieve those options in the
what are going to achieve those options? How are you? Tell me exactly how America is going to achieve those. I'm serious. Like I cannot think of a conceivable way that America is going to open up the Strait of Hormuz. How are you going to do that? Like I said, full military occupation is the only way. Otherwise, we can't maintain the blockade forever. Like that is going to inevitably go away at some point, at which point Iran de facto has complete control over the Strait of Hormuz. The proxies, how are you going to stop them? How are you going to stop them from sending weapons, arms, and funding to Hamas and Hezbollah and the Houthis? Like, what are you going to do about it? Like, what are you going to do about it? There's nothing you can do, right? Like, I'm serious. There's literally nothing that America can do. They've already sanctioned them to shit. They can't. I'm sure. Yeah, one more sanction is really going to make a huge difference. You can't militarily stop that. Like you can't. America can't even militarily defeat the Houthis. Like we went to war with the Houthis and we were unable to defeat them. The Houthis are tiny. They're minuscule compared to Iran. Israel was unable to defeat Hamas. Israel's still unable to defeat Hezbollah. Like, there's nothing that you can do to stop them from funding. So, like, I guess what I keep asking is, like, if you're not able to achieve these things militarily, if you're not able to achieve these things economically, that leaves only one other possible option if you want to achieve those things: diplomacy. And if you're not willing to engage in diplomacy and an actual real like negotiation with Iran as equals, which is what you are being forced to do by Iran's military capabilities. If you're not willing to do that, well, then there's nothing you can do. Then they will have control over the Strait of Hormuz. They will continue to send funding to Hamas and Hezbollah and the Houthis. They will continue to build up their nuclear enrichment if they so choose. Like, there's nothing you can do about it. So I don't know. Yeah, they just live in a fantasy world, and this is just clear, obvious propaganda. I don't know why I decided to start with a Fox News video. I guess I just wanted to, krill myself or whatever. But It's just hard. It's hard, man. It's hard watching it first thing in the morning.
Timing for doing it. The president is going to execute it with a larger strategic picture in mind, because we've watched it now with Venezuela and what's going to happen with the oil there in due course when they rebuild that industry. The UAE pulling out of
Man, they will not let go. They will not let go of Venezuela, dude. They keep looking back at Venezuela like a long lost ex, like they're like an ex-girlfriend, the one who got away. Like I don't know. They're like, if only, man, if only this new country, Iran, was anything like my ex, man, like Venezuela. No, it's completely different. We're seeing that obviously right now. There's nothing like militarily. You can't dominate Iran in the same way that you militarily could dominate Venezuela in the way that you did. So yeah, that's just a different situation.
In due course, when they rebuild that industry, the UAE pulling out of OPEC. When you look at it, do you think that NVIDIA chip exchange that occurred back in October last year, this was part of a strategic plan that the president is.
I don't know about I heard about the UAE pulling out of OPEC. I don't really know what that's all about, to be honest. I think it signals more fracturing of the Gulf, right? If anything, that's what I see it as. The Gulf states are fracturing and no longer, no longer necessarily aligning 100% with each other on stuff. Like there's now going to be, different blocks jockeying for different positions. And I think that's probably all coming out of the new regional order that's being established with Iran at the top, right? Where Iran is able to, like, some groups are going to align with Iran, some groups are going to align with America, some groups are going to align with Israel. Like it's going to be like there's going to be, I think, a fragmentation here, and I think that if anything, that's what I'm getting out of that. I don't really know what the consequences of that are going to be either. I would have to watch some analysis on that.
Executing to build a better world, and he's just doing exactly that. And taking down Iran's nuclear program is just another step in that long chess game.
Yeah, you cannot have all this AI that we sold our friends in the Middle East. You can't have Iran nuclear blackmailing all of our best customers in that region. It's unacceptable. You heard about some of the targeting deck that's still on the table, the leadership, even an assault on the coastline to secure the strait. Do you foresee that happening, a ground assault on the strait, or just more airstrikes?
I would think he just airstrikes. I don't think we're going to actually get into a ground assault itself.
But why are you even... Okay, I don't understand why he's even saying this, because everybody knows you can't do these things with just airstrikes. Like this is... we said from the beginning that like it's impossible to create regime change with airstrikes because that's never happened in human history. And look, lo and behold, we were right. And I'm telling you right now, as a person who said that at the very beginning, like it is also impossible to like control the strait, quote unquote, with just airstrikes. So if you are admitting right now that you are not going to commit to ground troops, which even so, like America doesn't have the political will for, but even if it did, it's not a guarantee that it would succeed. But you're just straight up admitting that, okay, Iran is just going to have control of the strait. Like this is a ridiculous. He shouldn't have said that, to be honest. He should have said, we'll see what the president decides, or kept it ambiguous, because anyone with half a brain understands that you can't accomplish any of these military objectives with airstrikes alone.
I would think he just airstrikes. I don't think we're going to actually get into a ground assault itself. I think one of the key things that need to happen is when you're looking at how we're going to even negotiate with the Iranians at this point, we really need to pull it out of Pakistan. They've never been our friend. They've never been a good ally. They have killed hundreds of Americans through the Taliban in Afghanistan. So the reality is they should have never been a player to begin with. Let's give it to Abu Dhabi. Let's give it to the UAE and make sure that they...
Wait, what? Pakistan, I mean, I don't know. I would say Pakistan is relatively neutral between Iran and America, which is what you need in terms of negotiations. What are we talking about, bro? Like, I don't understand. These people don't understand how negotiating works. It's like, you don't just like have a, like, if you're trying to find like an intermediary, right, between two parties, you don't just pick the one that is like completely and totally aligned with the West. Like he was saying, like Abu Dhabi, oh, you're gonna pick like a country that was literally like at war with Iran to host the intermediary talks. What are you talking about? Why would Iran take that seriously whatsoever? Okay, Iran just says no then. Whatever you want, no. Okay. So now what? Like, oh no, man, these people, that is an insane thing. You need a relatively neutral intermediary. And the problem with Pakistan, honestly, because Pakistan was building up a lot of its like international reputation by doing this. But the problem that Pakistan ran into is that they were constantly aligning with America on everything in terms of their messaging. They would always take what America said and then they would bring it to Iran and they would say, this is what America wants. And then they would look at, and they would be like, Iran, you need to, if you want to make a deal, you're going to have to concede to these demands. And then Iran would say, no, we're not going to. Here's our demands. And then they would say, I don't think we should take that to America. I don't think they're going to, like that. Maybe you should change this or change that. Like, essentially, they were just more aligned with America than they were with Iran. And that was probably, I think, a mistake by their part if they wanted to keep building their international prestige. But this guy has it completely backwards, though, thinking that Pakistan was aligned with Iran. Are you kidding me? Like they're I would say they are honestly relatively neutral. Their country historically is like relatively neutral between Iran and America. The way they've been negotiating, though, has been very much on the side of America.
Player to begin with, let's give it to Abu Dhabi. Let's give it to the UAE and make sure that they are now going to become the broker and the key player in.
Yeah, let's see how that goes. These countries, okay, sure,
the Middle East itself, because they are proving to be an incredible ally. But at the end of the day, Jesse, we're going to execute a plan that is going to disable the Iranian from being able to project any power to the Strait of Hormuz and throughout the Middle East.
You already said that. You said that last time. It didn't happen. Okay, it didn't happen. It didn't. I swear. I'm right now. I can look at what you said in the past, and I can look at where we are right now. Like I have eyes. Okay, it didn't happen. What is going to change this time? These people, like, you got to tell me why you think this is going to be any different. This is, man. I'm getting so angry.
The president's driving a pretty hard line, and I think that's the key to this. Kirk, thank you so much.
Be sure to go deflate the tires of all the interns' cars so you can make them feel uncomfortable. Okay, that's what he did. By the way, he did that with his current wife. He deflated her tires so that he could offer her a ride home. Like a totally not creep move. Totally not something that the dude from You would do. Okay. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on. What should we watch next? I still want to do a little more Iran content
today.
So let's go ahead and watch this one. This is okay. We live in a country, right, that is supposed to have rules. There's supposed to be laws. Okay, as far as I'm aware, that's how our country is supposed to work. There are laws, and people are supposed to be beholden to those laws. And one of the laws that we have is that the president is not allowed to unilaterally declare war on any country. Now, that law has been violated many, many times by multiple administrations, both Democrat and Republican, throughout the years. So it's really more of a suggestion than an actual law. But technically, that is the law. And presidents who violate that law, I think you can technically use the the national security, argument or whatever to get like a certain amount of time that you can engage in military actions that isn't technically considered war or whatever, right? Which is what Trump has essentially been doing. But we're about to reach that deadline, right? This video is going to go over that. But yeah, so we live in a country, we're supposed to have laws, and technically when someone breaks the law, you're supposed to, put them in jail. God knows that is not going to happen with this president. And the way that the way that Congress actually has decided that our country now works is that anybody can break the law and say that they're not breaking the law, and instead of throwing that person in jail for breaking the law, Congress will then create a new law that says, actually, no, for real this time, you're not actually allowed to break the law. Like that. That's how it's been. That's how we've been moving towards as a country. So just so people are aware, laws are essentially fake now. But anyway, let's go ahead and let's watch this video from BBC. Deadline reached for Trump to seek approval for war with Iran. BBC News.
It marks a deadline. It is 60 days since President Trump gave official notice to the US Congress that his war with Iran had begun. And under the legislation, which has existed since the
I didn't even know that he gave official notification. I thought that he just straight up did it and didn't send them anything. So that's news to me.
Vietnam War, the president is under obligation to withdraw US forces or seek congressional authorization to fight on. Right now, there's no sign the president is preparing to give way. In fact, all indicators point to the conflict resuming. US Central Command has just requested the deployment of hypersonic missiles to the Middle East to add to an enormous military deployment already in the region.
Yeah, so it seems pretty likely. Guys, I tell you all the time, this is the day. This is probably the day that we need your prayers to the markets. We need the markets. We need the markets to protect us over this weekend, okay? The markets have protected us faithfully for the past few weeks over the ceasefire, okay? And it's all thanks to all of your efforts out there as you pray to the markets that and do all of your, all of your market dances outside to try and keep the market strong. But I'm going to need a lot of prayers this weekend to the markets because it feels like this might be happening either this weekend or maybe next weekend. I don't know. Who knows? It's impossible to tell the timing. But if they're sending more missiles now, the good thing is America is only capable of producing about 20 missiles a year. So eventually we're going to just run out and not be able to do this anymore. It would probably be another like 5 or 6 weeks of war, though, if that were to be the case. But yeah, I still, though, we don't need that death and destruction. OK, people, go out there. The markets need your strength.
In Israel, where the calls for a return to war are getting louder, the build-up is already underway. The Defence Ministry has talked about 6,500 tons of munitions arriving in Israel in just the past few days. Dozens of US fuel tankers are parked at Tel Aviv's Ben Gurion Airport and at the airport in Eilat. These are pictures from February showing US Air Force stratotankers parked on the tarmac. The Pentagon says it is drawing up options for a short, sharp campaign to try and prise open the negotiations. But at what...
Okay. Iran, if you're listening, please take my advice. Because I gave you my advice last time, okay? And my advice was that when America wanted to end this, like when they wanted a ceasefire, was that you should not take it and you should just keep the effort going until America ran out of missile interceptors. We got through about half of, like 50% of the missile interceptors in the last war in 5 to 6 weeks, okay? So I'm telling you, Iran, do not let up for at least another 5 to 6 weeks. If they start this hot war again, do not let up for at least another 5 to 6 weeks. And if, depending on your situation, keep it going for like maybe another couple weeks after that, 8 weeks or so. That's all I think it would take, is another couple weeks after we run completely and totally out of missile interceptors, hitting Israel nonstop, like, multiple like massive missile strikes a day for 2-3 weeks. And I think that we will reach an actual, negotiated settlement, like a true deterrence provided peace, I think, is what you need to do. If you want to get like America off your back for good, or at least for, like maybe like 5 years or so. I don't know exactly how long it would take for America's belligerents to like forget how, forget the military deterrence that you have demonstrated with your capabilities. But I do think that that's the only way to get a relatively long peace in the region, is if Iran like keeps going past the point that America completely runs out of missile interceptors, which, like I said, will be in about 5 to 6 weeks if America decides to go back into a hot war in the same way that they did before.
Cost. The Pentagon says so far they have spent a conservative $25 billion on this war, and
way more. Way more. Never trust those numbers. I would guess it's at least 60, maybe even 100 billion at this point. They're always going to manipulate those numbers to make it seem like, and that's probably not even including the cost of the actual missiles that we blew through. Like, that's probably just I feel like maybe operational costs or something. If you take into account how much money we are going to spend and how much money all of our pedo billionaires are going to skim off the top of the contracts that they make with the military industrial complex after this, it is easily in the hundreds of billions of dollars. So that's way lowball. If anything, I would say put it at 60 to 80. Even just operationally, I would say at least $60 billion. And then replacing all that shit is going to be hundreds of billions of dollars. And, it's going to take 2 decades to ever even build those interceptor stockpiles back up. And that's assuming that we're not in perpetual war in perpetuity, which it seems like America is really gunning for that direction as well.
Democrats are getting increasingly twitchy about where it goes next.
On Iran, ultimately, I would defer to the White House and White House counsel on that. However, we are in a ceasefire right now, which our understanding means the 60-day clock pauses or stops in a ceasefire. So you're not in. Yeah. It's our understanding, just so you know.
Okay, well, I do not believe the statute would support that. I think the 60 days runs maybe.
I knew that as soon as they had a ceasefire that they were going to make some bullshit argument like that. Yeah, that's whatever, man. It's not like they're going to stop regardless of whether whether it goes past the statutory limit of what they're allowed to do under emergency authorizations or whatever. Congress is a joke, man. Our government, our system of government is a joke. Nothing matters. The only thing that has any power is the executive branch at this point. So whatever. It's the world we live in. I'm always it sucks that our system of government is so dysfunctional, but is somewhat designed to be dysfunctional. And so it's not going to change without a concerted effort, essentially a refounding of our country with a new constitution, a new I mean, you can use the old one as a basis or whatever, but essentially a complete refounding of our country where you have to get rid of the duopoly. That's what you need. You need multiple parties. If it's parliamentary or whatever, you need multiple parties. You need enforced abilities of maintaining money out of politics, which involves putting wealth caps on people. People can't accumulate unlimited money and therefore unlimited political power to corrupt all of these institutions to make them as dysfunctional as they are. There's so many things we would have to do, and it would be a complete redoing of our country essentially. It's a joke. Our country is a joke.
Tomorrow, and it's going to pose a really important legal question.
Also, where the fuck is that legislation that you were going to have on voting to stop the war? Didn't the Democrats, weren't they going to vote on that? Democrat vote on war authorization. The Senate voted to reject a war powers resolution. Okay, so they have been voting on it, maybe. I would have to go, maybe I've missed some of that, but I would have to go look at what people are voting. But they should have voted on the authorization for the war before it even started, to be honest. The Democrats' names should have been on record before they even before the war even started, and it became an obviously political toxic situation.
Question for the administration. We have serious constitutional concerns, and we don't want to layer those with additional statutory concerns.
Ultimately, the final decision is for the US president. It is not in the hands of the Israeli prime minister, though Israel strategically does seem to prefer a return to war than a deal. Israel and Hezbollah have continued to attack one another in spite of the ceasefire. Lebanon's health ministry says Israeli airstrikes in the south killed at least 15 people on Thursday. The US Embassy in Beirut has urged Lebanon to engage directly with Jerusalem, suggesting there is now limited opportunity to take advantage of the American mediation. Let's bring in our
It's never going to happen.
correspondent in Jerusalem, Yolande Knell. Does it feel to you like there is a groundswell now in Israel for this war to resume?
Well, we have had these comments from the Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz last night, where he said that Israel may soon be required to act against what he said were existential threats from Iran. And the Israeli media is saying that the country is on a state of heightened alert, preparing for a possible return to fighting with Iran. And in the background, these reports that President Trump has had his military options laid out for him by the leaders of US Central Command. There's a lot of speculation in the Israeli media about what the different options being weighed up could really look like, with suggestions that there could be a return to...
God, he just looks like Satan, dude. Like, if Satan was a person, this would be him. Like, Jesus Christ, man.
Strong, powerful strikes.
Nobody has looked this evil throughout all of human history. Like, I'm serious. He looks more evil than anybody in the entire world. He looks more evil than, like, I don't know, like Adolf Hitler, dude. Like, at least Adolf Hitler had that rad mustache. I'm just kidding, people, about the rad mustache. But, like, he does genuinely look like, I don't know, he just has that evil look.
Targeting Iran's energy infrastructure, government infrastructure, once again, trying to put pressure on Iran to make concessions in negotiations. There's also...
Dude, why are these people so insane? It's not going to work. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. How many times do I have to tell you? It's not going to work. Iran was in a better bargaining position when there was a hot war. What are you talking about? You're going to go back to war with them, and they're going to instantly be in that same better bargaining position yet again. And if Iran takes my advice and keeps going past the point of, like, America running out of missile interceptors, then they will be in the best bargaining position they've ever been in. This is insane. These people are crazy, dude.
The options being talked about the idea of special operations forces going into Iran and really targeting its enriched uranium, with all the difficulties that would pose. Also suggestions about ground forces.
They already tried that, right? With that dude who was allegedly over there that they tried to save. They tried to do, like, an operation to go get the nuclear materials. At least that's what I think was going on, because they had so many troops over there, and they failed, and they had to bomb all of their fucking assets. They had to, like, self-destruct, like, hundreds of millions of dollars of my taxpayer money, like, in an inferno of fire, because they quote, like, got a little stuck in the mud, aka Iran peppered them with bullets and their stuff was inoperable. Like, this oof, my God, man. I genuinely don't know if behind the scenes, if these people are delusional, or are as delusional as they portray themselves to be whenever they, like, do these, like, come up with these strategies or present these strategies to the people. It's like, I can't tell. I feel like they are. I think that they are actually as delusional. Like, they actually believe the shit, that the propaganda that they say, like, that America is putting out there. And it's like, my God, man, this is going to be one of the most historic disasters, like even more so than any of America's others misadventures in the various countries that has failed to achieve its strategic objectives in, like Vietnam, Afghanistan, Iraq. Like, this is going to be one of, I think, potentially one of the, like, defining moments of historic defeat for American empire, is what it's starting to feel like, with how terribly these people are at, like, analyzing the actual realities of the circumstances that exist.
Possibly going to try to take control of part of the Strait of Hormuz to ease it up for commercial shipping, but no real decisions made as yet, and really everyone watching to see what decisions come out of the White House. It's interesting too, that report that she mentioned from Bloomberg suggesting that CENTCOM has asked for this hypersonic missile to be sent to the Middle East, potentially to be used against Iran. If that were to happen, it would be the first time that it had been used in active hostilities. CENTCOM not commenting on that.
I'm sure that's going to change everything, right, people? One more new type of missile is going to change everything for sure. Just like one more sanction, they'll collapse any day now, any day now.
The Iranians have signaled this morning, Yolan, that there will be a major response if the strikes resume. Has Israel had time in the interim to replenish what it needs to defend the country?
I mean, certainly this is something that the country has been preparing for, a resumption of hostilities ever since that sort of tentative ceasefire came into force. And it's very well known that, you know, things remain extremely difficult, that the Strait of Hormuz, this important pressure point, is still such a focus, and that President Trump may have to act soon. He's under a lot of domestic pressure. Certainly the feeling from many Israelis is that this is not a job that has been completed as yet. What Israelis have been saying consistently is that they want to deal with the threat from Iran in terms of its missile arsenal, in terms of its support for proxies around the region, and of course in terms of its nuclear program. And they do.
And again, there's nothing you can do about it. How many times do I have to keep telling these people, man? There's literally nothing you can do about it. America was unable to defeat Iran. America was able to achieve those particular objectives that you just listed out with the full force of the American military. The only possibility is if America does an actual ground invasion, and it's probably not going to happen. So, like, maybe it will. I don't know. But even then, it's not even a guarantee that they would even be able to militarily achieve that then. So, I don't know.
Not feel that has happened yet.
Yolan Nell in Jerusalem.
The only people more delusional in this than America is Israel. I don't know what Israel thinks is going to happen, man. Like, again, they're behaving the exact same way as Hitler during the Fourth Reich. Like, where, like, you just think, like, oh, if I just keep expanding forever, and if I just keep going to war forever, that somehow it's going to, like, I will actually achieve, like, I don't know, like, some sort of strategic, like, win at the end of this. Like, what? I just, man, it's insane. We live in an insane world.
Then from the United States, we can speak to the national security correspondent for the New York Times, Eric Schmidt. Eric, it's good to see you. What are you hearing about the plans that are being presented to the president?
Well, as your correspondent mentioned, the military has presented plans to the president. These are actually plans that have been in place for a while now. They're just kind of reminding him what's at stake here. The U.S. has 2 carrier strike groups in the region. They've been adding additional weaponry, as your correspondent has mentioned, in the event the president orders a resumption of strikes. But President Trump, by all accounts that we've heard...
Also, by the way, the fact that, the IRGC, I don't think wanted to get into the ceasefire. I think they agreed with me that it was a bad strategy to go along with this ceasefire, broadly speaking. I do think the political leadership decided to do it. In general, I think for optics reasons, probably, not particularly from strategic reasons, but for optics reasons with, like, the rest of the world, trying to show that you're, like, you know, but by just acceding to the ceasefire, Iran, like, America interpreted that as capitulation, even though America was losing the entire fucking time the hot war was going on, and Iran had incredible military achievements throughout the entire war. Immediately by acceding to the ceasefire, America interpreted that as capitulation. So that's why I think that the next time, like, please, dear God, Iran, I've told you every single time, you need to control the de-escalation. You need to be the one to determine whether the bombs stop flying, okay? That's the only way that you are going to, like, end up with some sort of lasting peace, like, in the region. Or at least by lasting, I mean, you know, lasting by America's perspective, like 5 years of, like, not getting fucked with. You need to do that. You need to control, you need to say, no, You need to say no. When America says, okay, we need another ceasefire to rearm all of our proxies, and we need another ceasefire to send all of our missile interceptors over there, you need to say no. And and continue bombing the shit out of them for at least another few weeks. Please just listen to me. I'm telling you, that is the only way that this is going to stop for a longer period of time.
Is very reluctant to restart the war here. He's worried that the Iranians still have thousands of missiles and drones left, that they could retaliate against energy infrastructure in the region and send economic and oil prices even higher. He seems to be leaning toward extending the naval blockade, but aides tell him that could take weeks or months to put the kind of pressure on Iran's regime that would yield results.
Indefinite. They could last with it indefinitely. God damn it, dude. I can't take it. It's like I'm joking. I say one more sanction. They actually believe if we just put one more sanction, if we put one more blockade, if we put one more, economic chokehold on them, then they're going to collapse immediately. It's like, dear God, you've been trying to do that for 20, 30 years at this point, and it hasn't worked. It's not going to work this time. My God, dude.
Because the open question, obviously, Eric, is whether these further strikes would prise open what is already a difficult negotiation.
Exactly. And of course, the regime that's in power now is much more hardline, and even the regime that existed under the Ayatollah, the supreme leader before the war started. So by all accounts, they are digging in. They've used this 3-week ceasefire time to dig out some of their missile silos and to rearm themselves, move around some of their assets, and prepare themselves for what they think may be an oncoming resumption of attacks by the United States and Israel.
The president, quite obviously, is his own man, and nobody can really double guess which way he'll turn. But who is in his ear? Clearly, Prime Minister Netanyahu wants a resumption. There are strategic reasons.
The devil himself, President Netanyahu, is in his ear. I'm sure that's going to go great.
Why Israel thinks they need to go further. What about the council around him in the White House? Because Pete Hegseth, we know, is very confident. And then we have the Vice President, J.D. Vance, who has been leading the negotiation, who was opposed to this war.
A lot of nervousness.
I don't know what's going on with this audio here.
Now about the Senate, the mood is just very grim. I think.
Apologies. Yeah, I mean, within the cabinet, you've identified the key actors. Vice President Vance has made it known that he's very reluctant to continue this war, but the president has key options, people listening to him. These are people like Senator Lindsey Graham, retired General Jack Keane, who are urging him to restore the resumption of strikes. They say just 2 more weeks of concerted strikes on Iran's.
2 more weeks. That's all it'll take. Dude, you can't wish cast your way into winning a war. Donald Trump thinks that he can bluster his way into winning a war. There's material realities that don't give a shit about your bluster, that don't give a shit about your rhetoric. The material reality is just that Iran has the cards and America does not. And America was shown to be much, much weaker than anybody ever anticipated them being when they went into this war. So, you can't wish cast your way into winning a war. That's not how it works. As much as Trump wants it to be that way, just pretending like you have all the cards at all points in times is not going to lead to some sort of strategically better outcome. In fact, it's going to lead to a worse outcome because you're going to get worse options for settlement as time goes on. At this point, the best option America has is just unilateral withdrawal. Just unilaterally, disengage, and we are out of there. And then Iran essentially has de facto control of the Strait of Hormuz, and Iran is the new regional superpower. That's basically our best option at this point. So, whatever. These people are infuriating me this morning. I don't know if I can deal with this one. I had a debate video on my list between, I think it looked like Adam Mogler and some stooge on CNN, but I just don't know if I can take it, man. I'm getting so annoyed by this shit. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to this one. This is at the so this is a press conference hearing or not press, like a Senate hearing, I guess, or something, where Secretary of War Crimes Pete Kegsbreath is here. And I guess this is going to be Warren asking some questions about insider trading. Now, this is confusing for me because I thought that insider trading was legal now, given how we have turned every single aspect of our economy into gambling. Like every single aspect of our economy, every single aspect of geopolitics, every aspect of like news, just general information. We have turned everything into gambling with like the Kalshi and poly market prediction markets and all that good stuff. So I was under the impression that this was completely legal, that insider trading was just legal now. So that's why this is going to be fascinating to me. So this is going to be Warren pressing Hegseth about insider trading on Iran war developments. I'm sure she's going to come at this from probably a more imperialist perspective, saying, but let's just watch it. I don't need to predict everything that they're going to say here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So Americans are paying a high price for Donald Trump's war with Iran. We've got 14 service members who are dead, over 400 more who are wounded. Prices are rising for nearly every American family. But someone is profiting off Trump's war. Insiders who know what's going on and who place bets on that inside information. On March 23rd, just 14 minutes before Trump unexpectedly posted about, quote, very good conversations on ending the war, traders suddenly bet $500 million on the price of oil, which, once Trump made his announcement...
Hey, it's tough out there, okay? It's tough being one of the people in the room making these huge, important decisions, right? So how dare you, Elizabeth Warren? How dare you discourage people from wanting to make a little bit of extra money to, we don't want our pedo war criminals, like our pedo billionaire war criminals, to not be able to make good money. I mean, then how are they going to make all of these important decisions that they do? I think this is inappropriate. This is inappropriate of former Native American Elizabeth Warren.
Immediately dropped. It happened again on April 7th and then again on April 21st. A surge in oil bets, then a Trump post, and then a huge shift in oil prices in just the space of minutes. It looks like insiders have been making out like bandits using secret information about the war. Now, one U.S. soldier has been charged, but that was for betting on capturing Maduro months ago. Not a single person has been charged in the many, many, many trades over the Middle East war. So, Secretary Hegseth, do you have any explanation for these
Let's hear it.
Perfectly timed spikes in trading activity other than insider trading?
You can't prove that they're not just psychic, okay? You'll have to prove to me, okay? If maybe they're just psychic. You don't know that, Elizabeth Warren.
Spikes in trading activity other than insider trading?
Senator, all I can tell you is that everything we've done in our department, everything we've done with information, in working with the White House and across the interagency has been completely above board.
Well, so what does it mean?
I will say that I do think that this is like, so these things are quote unquote bad for the military, right? Technically, right? And that if people know that we're going to start bombing Iran again or something, then that does get out into like, I'm sure that like in the same way that people had like the pizza tracker or whatever, the White House pizza tracker, and were able to use that to know whether America was about to engage in, massive acts of war crimes abroad. That was basically where they would track the pizza ordering of like pizza places nearby the Pentagon, basically. And when there was a huge orders of pizza volume, like then they would be able to know like, okay, America is going to engage in some, terrible atrocity abroad pretty soon. And I'm sure that like all of these foreign actors have plenty of intel that's much better than just like the pizza tracker app or whatever, or the Kalshi prediction markets, suddenly going crazy. Like I'm sure that they have better intel than that. So I don't think it's really that big of a deal from an actual like national security perspective or whatever. I just think it's bad from a like morality perspective, like, which I get really frustrated because I don't know. I'm sure that Elizabeth Warren probably would say that it's immoral. Like if I asked her point blank, like, should people be allowed to bet on like how many brown people are going to be killed by this bomb today or whatever, like I think that she would probably say that that's immoral, but they never come at this from a morality perspective. They always come at it from a, this is bad for our imperial war machine perspective, which I find very frustrating as somebody who, has a conscience and doesn't want us to be engaging in acts of atrocities abroad. Regardless, I really don't like, I think it's especially evil that people are allowed to bet money on it. Like, I mean, my God, like if you needed any evidence that we currently live in hell, like that has to be it, right? Like we live in hell. Like there's no other explanation to being able to bet on like how many pounds of warheads are we going to how many pounds of explosives on our warheads are going to be dropped on a brown country today. Like, oh, I think it's going to be 100 tons. And so it's like an over under on how many tons of explosive material we're going to drop on, it's just like the most evil thing that I can possibly imagine. And so, yeah, I just wish that they covered it from that perspective a little bit more. Maybe she will. I'm only a minute and 51 seconds into this video, so maybe Elizabeth Warren will get into that.
Do you have any other explanation other than insider trading? Do you have a story for why just minutes before there's an announcement, there's a surge in trading activity?
Senator, I'm more than focused on doing my job and ensuring we execute properly, which thankfully under this administration, our troops have done incredible things in all these missions. My job in all of those.
They've gotten trapped over there. A bunch of them have died, and we keep and all of our planes start getting shot out of the air by Iran. Our $1 trillion F-35s keep getting shot out of the air by Iran. Oh, and we're unable to, the guy, the totally real person that we went to go save over there, we ended up having to blow up like hundreds of millions of dollars worth of military equipment and my tax dollars personally, in order to accomplish that goal. Yeah, everything's going great over there. You guys are really succeeding, Pete Kegsbreath. I am absolutely sure that we are going to emerge from this in a much more strategically better position than when we started. Totally buy it. Totally buy it.
Those moments is to make sure we're prepared, and that's part of the reason why we've been so successful in these raids, in these efforts, is that this joint force is prepared.
You're saying you're not paying any attention to this insider trading. Is that what you're telling me? That you've paid no attention to this? You haven't noticed it? You haven't done anything about it?
What I'm saying is we're focused on our mission of executing for the American people, and what happens in markets is not, in betting markets is not.
You probably should know about that, to be honest, Pete Hegseth. From like a imperial war machine perspective, which I think is the angle that she's going to come at him from. If you're allowing people to bet on these prediction markets, then theoretically, Iran or somebody, a foreign agent, could just monitor those websites and be like, okay, this is going to happen, like make predictions based on that. So like that, I mean, you, even from your own, perspective as like wanting to have a successful imperial death machine, that isn't like just falling apart at the seams, like you probably should care about that.
Something we're involved in.
What happens in betting markets doesn't matter to you, even if the information may be coming from insiders in your office?
Senator, it's not something we're involved in at all. And of course, we take operational security at every level very seriously. In fact, no one's taken operational security more seriously than us. If you look at what it required to keep secret Midnight Hammer and Operation Maduro, the absolute resolve with Maduro, and the steps we've taken,
So,
no one's been tighter about ensuring that Operation.
Also, we learned recently at the White House Correspondents' Dinner that this dude is like zooted 24/7. Like he was he was doing the jaw motion like that thing or whatever that are like classic hallmark signs of people who are like on uppers, I'm pretty sure. So I don't do uppers, so I don't know that much. I'm trusting other people's analysis on that. Various, all the various cokeheads that I watch on YouTube. No, but like, yeah, I've heard like, so he might be, in this, if he's talking a little funny in this one, that might be a part of it.
And the steps we've taken,
So,
no one's been tighter about
have
ensuring
you
that operational
taken
security
any
is
steps to
ensured.
deal with insider trading out of your office?
I mean, we would ensure at every level that inside information
I
is
take that as a no.
properly safeguarded.
All right. Well, obviously you're not. I'm also concerned about recent reporting on your own financial dealings with regard to profiting from the war in Iran. The Financial Times reported that your broker tried to buy hundreds of shares in a BlackRock fund invested in defense companies just before the war began. The law clearly prohibits.
Was it Graham Plattner's BlackRock unit? Maybe, I don't know.
The Secretary of
That entire story is false, has been from the
Let me
beginning,
finish
and
my
was made up out of whole cloth. And anybody that looks at it sees how it was
law-
worded from the beginning to make it look like I was involved in something I had nothing to do and never have.
Everything they say sounds like a lie, man. They are so bad at lying. They've gotten really bad at lying. I think it's because they don't know, like, they don't need to really lie anymore. Everything, like we're talking about earlier, everything is legal now. Like crime is just legal now. So I just feel like they don't care anymore if they're actually good at lying. But they've gotten really bad at lying over at the Pentagon lately, it feels like.
So any insinuation that I've ever profited other than serving this nation, what I give, what you give, what others give, I'm not looking for money. I don't do it for money. I don't do it for profit. I don't do it for stocks. And that's part of the reason why I'm able to be effective in this job.
Yeah, it's this defensiveness. They get so defensive that it's like so obvious that they're just lying. Like I feel like, man, I don't know. Weren't people better at lying back in the day? Like these politicians, weren't they better at lying? I feel like they've gotten so bad at it.
Because no one owns me. No one owns this department. No one owns this president. And we can execute for the American people, and we do.
The law clearly prohibits the Secretary of Defense from owning stock in the 10 biggest defense contractors. Other senators and I sent you a letter with detailed questions about this, and you have not given us a response. So I'd like to hear you say, did you, through your broker at Morgan Stanley or otherwise, seek to invest in any defense-related funds right before Trump started the Iran war?
I'll give it to you as a big, fat negative.
Then let me ask you a second question. Is your broker getting your personal sign-off on any investment in individual stocks?
Bigger, fatter, negative.
He's not getting your sign-off before he makes investments in defense stocks? Can I refer you to your
I'm not
ethics
making investments,
agreement?
Senator.
I am asking, does he know that
Okay.
he has to get your sign-off before he does that?
Of course. I don't know what you're looking for.
God damn it, they're so insufferable.
But you ain't gonna find it.
Senate hearings, man, I'm sorry. They are so insufferable to watch. I mean, like, they're good. Don't get me wrong. I think that they are good overall, that we can, haul these goons into Congress and like force them to answer questions under oath. I think that that's a good thing. Okay. The way that it's presented, maybe it's just the types of people that we have, both in office, but also in like the people that we have in positions of power that are being brought in front of people. I just cannot. It is the format itself of people just talking over each other the whole time is just so insufferable. I can't take it. I'm going to go ahead and move on with that one. Yeah, they're all insider trading, like 100%. Like I said, it's legal now. Crime is legal now. So I would just say, like, until you start like punishing people for crimes, then crime is legal. That's just the way it is. Like, I'm sorry, that is. We have lost the ability to punish people for crimes. We never had the ability in some regards for when it comes to presidents. Like George W. Bush should have been charged 10 ways to Sunday. He should have been in jail for his entire life. To be honest, almost every president that we've had should have faced some jail time. But in particular, George W. Bush was like the worst, right? He should have been like, but a lot of our politicians just get away with crimes constantly. And until you are willing to enforce them, then crime is legal. And so they're going to continue insider trading. The only thing that I can hope for personally is that it leads to a less effective imperial death machine, which is like our military, like that's what it is. So it'll probably be less effective. That's the silver lining. There's always a silver lining to all of this shit, people. I know sometimes it's hard to find it, but there's no terrible thing that happens without a consequence, like a positive consequence to that terrible thing. You can always find it if you look hard enough. Anyway, we're going to watch some Iran Lego propaganda again, people. I don't know if this is a real one. I don't know if this is one that is like from some American, person who's just trying to cash in. But I want to laugh a little bit. I want to have a little bit of fun because these last videos, I was not expecting them to be as annoying as they were. I've been watched every single one of the videos has been way more annoying than I was expecting them to be. So let's watch a new viral Lego Iran AI video and let's see what's going on here.
Our inbox is flooded with Americans saying they don't watch the news. They listen to our songs instead, since your media is full of shit.
That's true. That's true. I agree with that. Our media is full of shit. Fake news. Look at all the poop emojis. All of our media sucks. They're all terrible. There's very few actual good reporting anymore. So I agree with them on that.
Let's keep it 100 and talk reality. 5,000 years of Persian soul, of poetry and light. You sold nuclear threat to every camera in sight, but our leader said nukes are haram.
Is this new? I feel like I've seen this one. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm gonna watch it anyway, just because I need a breather from all the annoying shit from earlier. But yeah, let's keep watching.
Poetry and light. You sold nuclear threat to every camera in sight, but our leader said.
Wait a second. If I've seen it before, I missed that. BJ Queen. Nice. Good one, Iran.
Camera in sight,
got him.
But our leader said nukes are haram. On record clear. The
okay, I've definitely seen this one.
Tel Aviv, my dear. The IAEA in the building, they've been watching the file. Israel's undeclared warheads stacked up mile by mile. You weaponized the fear of Iran to fund the machine. While AIPAC lobbied Congress and pocketed your team. While soldiers bleed for Bibi's dream. Your son-in-law cashed $2 billion from the Saudi regime, Kushner. Your lobby chain is tight as choking out the globe. While your son is trading stocks inside his velvet robe. Baron, wake up.
Oh, they're going after Barron. Is Barron? I think Barron. How old is Barron Trump? How old is Barron Trump? 20 years old. We can make fun of him, people. He's over 18.
Open your eyes to the devil's
yeah, I've heard this one.
Epstein, pedophile ruler, sacrificing for Israel's line. Wake up, America. Open your eyes to the devil's design. The world's watching your move. Don't feed the swine. Epstein's Island, 40 plus flights on the log. You the main character. Jeffrey was just a prologue. You act like a savior, but
by the way, people, I do believe firmly that there are many more Jeffrey Epsteins out there. Okay, for every Jeffrey Epstein that Trump has killed in jail, 2 more pop up to replace him. So there are definitely more Epsteins out there. The fight against the pedo cabal is not over.
40 plus flights on the log. You the main character. Jeffrey was just a prologue. You act like a savior, but you're leaving bodies cold. How many nations have you broken?
And also, the only way to stop that from happening is preventing unlimited wealth accumulation. If you allow unlimited wealth accumulation to the top, there will inevitably be a pedo billionaire cabal. Like there will. It's an inevitability. Apparently, it is an inevitability of the human condition that once you have enough money, you become, a pedo. Like, I don't know. I'm not the one who makes the rules, okay, people? But apparently that is a part of the human condition.
How many lies have you sold? Vietnam, Japan, Korea, Iraq,
Oh yeah, I saw this.
Libya, Panama, Syria, Germany, Serbia, Indonesia, Cuba, Sudan, Pakistan, Egypt, Jordan, Palestine, Lebanon, Yemen. We're bringing you freedom, bro. They never asked for that. Retribution is coming with a storm you can't tame. Iran doesn't forget, and we're coming for the game. Spoiler alert. Israel's final war? It's against y'all. Take it seriously. Before it's too late. They're just using you.
I don't know if Israel will nuke America, but they will get America involved in a war that will lead to America's financial collapse. I would probably agree with that. I think we're kind of living through that right now.
You for now want to see the real truth? Watch how they talk on Jesus. Don't say I didn't warn you.
They hate Jesus over there, that's for sure.
America.
Okay. I've seen that one before. 100%. That one's old. That one's at least a couple weeks old, I think. So I'm probably, when I'm clipping, I'm probably not going to clip this video because I don't need 2 reactions to the same content. That would be crazy, man. That would be crazy. Okay, let's go and move on to no more Iran stuff. Let's see what else we got. Okay. Let's go to which one first? Let's go to this one first. Okay. So since the last time I saw you guys, since I've been out, the Supreme Court has overruled the Voting Rights Act. The Voting Rights Act is basically a piece of legislation that was passed, I think, during the Civil Rights Movement, that essentially forced states to include some amount of minority districts, right? You weren't allowed to gerrymander all black representation out, to have essentially no black representation. Because what they used to do, and what they're going to start doing again, is they would essentially put as many black people as possible into a single district, and then strategically dilute the black populations in all of the rest of the districts so that black people have essentially no representation in Congress, or very, very little. And so that's where it's obviously now that this has been undone, right? That's basically what's going to happen again. We're essentially getting back into Jim Crow. The Civil Rights Movement, it had a long run, but we're essentially just getting back into Jim Crow era now. So let's go and watch this video. We'll see if we can learn a little bit more about what their opinions were on the Supreme Court, how they decided to make this decision. I mean, it's all political. There's no such thing as objective. I've never believed there's such thing as objective law interpretation. It's always political no matter what. But let's see what their arguments were and see what's going on here. This is Special Report, Supreme Court ruling limits Voting Rights Act. ABC News
Special Report.
And good morning, everyone. I'm Kira Phillips. We're coming on the air because the Supreme Court has just released a major decision which could have a profound impact on the midterm elections. The justices issuing a ruling on a case out of Louisiana involving the Voting Rights Act, redistricting, and whether states must end any consideration of race when redrawing congressional maps. The decision potentially reducing the influence of minority voters and minority representation in Congress. Let's get right to our senior Washington correspondent, Devin Dwyer.
Well, potentially. These people, you don't need to add caveat words like that. It will. It's inevitable. There's a reason that it was created in the first place. It's because they did this already before, during Jim Crow. So they're, like I said, we're just redoing Jim Crow. This is Jim Crow 2. Jim Crower. I don't know.
Dwyer, who covers the Supreme Court for us. Devin.
Kira, this decision is 6-3, written by Justice Samuel Alito, and it's a significant decision and a setback for the landmark Voting Rights Act of 1965, which was passed to guarantee equality in how we vote, and of course addressing the systemic and historic racial discrimination, especially across the South. This decision came in a case out of Louisiana involving a court-ordered drawing addition of a second majority black district in that state because of the size of the state's population. And the Supreme Court today in this decision said that the court violated the 14th Amendment by adding, the state rather, violated the 14th Amendment by adding that district. They used race impermissibly, consciously, to add a second district to.
This is where, like, yeah, again, it's all just they were going to, even if the 14th Amendment wasn't written the way it was or whatever, right? Like they were going to interpret it this way no matter what. Like I said, there is no objective way to interpret law. Everything is subject to the politics of the time. Everything is subject to the current world that we are living in, the current power, the current where the Overton window is, all of that. It is all of that goes into the understanding of law bodies in terms of interpreting things like the Constitution. So it's all just power politics. I think anybody who actually believes that, like, you need to get your head out of your ass if you think that there is such thing as objective interpretation of law. It's the same way, like, if you believe there's like objective interpretation of the Bible, it's not possible. Like, it's all subjective. So the key thing is this is going to this is going to suck. Like, Black people are going to be significantly underrepresented going forward. Now, we're already incredibly underrepresented. I'm not saying we as in I'm not claiming Blackness. Okay, I'm white. Sorry, I just realized how funny that sounded when I said it. Like, in general, I'm saying we, the people in America, are very underrepresented already, especially just Democrats and progressives generally, because just the way that our system of government is set up is to give an institutional bias towards like Republicans and people with power already, right? Like we're like people who have money, all that sort of stuff. They get an unrepresentative like amount of power and political support and all that sort of stuff. So this is going to be bad, but it does mean that there's the guardrails are off now. Democrats are going to have to, if they ever want to win elections again, they will have to gerrymander the shit out of every state that they run and every state that they capture as well. Any state that they can get, let's say the state legislature, like any purple state, they need to immediately day one, the first day that they are like that they have hold office or whatever, they need to redraw the districts to have as many blue seats as possible. I would say for every blue state that we capture, there should be one Republican district. Okay. And then as many blue districts as possible, like as many, like maybe like, 20 or 30 blue districts, just one Republican district and 20 or 30 blue districts. And then we'll see how everything shakes up when we go into this like no holds barred like situation where the actual like who will attain like the actual power. I don't know for sure, but the other thing I would also say to keep in mind is that the political wins, like even if we get as unrepresentative of a democracy as we want, even under full autocracy, like in like what liberals would consider like fully like authoritarian, like even under like Russia or North Korea or whatever, right? The leadership still has to be somewhat accountable to the people. And if it isn't, like if they continue to eviscerate the people to a certain point, then it'll just create revolutionary fervor that will then bring down the system in its entirety and build something up different. So those are kind of the caveats I would say, is like if you're looking for silver linings, like there's no way to completely suppress the will of the people. It's impossible. You can try, but it's not possible. So yeah, I would say, we'll see how all this shakes up. It'll be bad, I think, in the short term, but as long as Democrats counter everything they do with as much gerrymandering as they possibly can, it might be dissipated, like it might be a wash, or maybe even advantage to Democrats because they historically haven't gerrymandered as much. It's not like they weren't doing some racial gerrymandering already, even with the Voting Rights Act as well in the South. So, like, I still think there's, there's a possibility that that Debs could still come out ahead. But also, yeah, like there's even in the most autocratic regimes, there's always they have to be accountable to the people in some regards.
Drawing these maps, that's something the court has affirmed before to comply with the Voting Rights Act, but he put a significant new limit on how courts can order states to draw their maps to be more equitable. He said that Section 2 imposes liability only when evidence supports a strong inference that the state intentionally drew its map to discriminate. So
okay, so you have to say, you have to explicitly say, I am gerrymandering. Like you have to explicitly state in your reasoning and your legislation, or like in your gerrymander, I, Bobby Brown, am gerrymandering this particular district specifically to disenfranchise Black people. If you state that in the legislation or in the legislative body that this is being done through, then it can be challenged. If you don't state that, though, then we'll just assume everything's all good. This is insane.
Setback for minority voters in Louisiana, and now, Kira, the impact of this decision is going to start to ripple across the country.
Let's talk about that impact and bring in our legal contributor and law professor at Hofstra University, James Sample. I mean, James, this is clearly, gutting landmark legislation here.
Absolutely correct, Kira. This is a ruling that almost completely constitutionalizes a color blindness principle to the point that even race-conscious remedies designed to remedy...
and this was always inevitable, right? The colorblind, interpret... This is like... Has anyone ever seen The Office where they... I think it's just the second episode, right, where the guy comes in to talk about racial issues or whatever, and Michael Scott's like, oh, I don't see Stanley as a Black person. And then the guy's like, well, we don't need to pretend like we're colorblind. It's more about embracing, the differences as good things or whatever. And then the Supreme Court watched that episode and they're like, no, we're going to interpret everything as being colorblind. And as long as it's so funny, it's just as long as you don't say that you are specifically doing something for a racist reason, then we're not going to interpret it as racist. It was probably the easiest way that they could have, gone about this reduction of rights for Black people or whatever. So yeah, I don't know. But again, they would have found a way regardless. The 14th Amendment, I don't want people to get caught up in like the verbiage or whatever that was used to to justify this reasoning. They would have found a way regardless.
Racial discrimination are unconstitutional under the very amendments, the 14th and 15th Amendments, that the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act were designed to make real and manifest in the country. So this is a diametrical shift in voting rights practices, a diametrical shift in the area of race and racial discrimination and the remedies for racial discrimination.
James, thanks. Let's bring in Chief White House Correspondent Mary Bruce. Now, Mary, let's just talk about what this will mean for the midterms and beyond.
Yeah, well, Kira, President Trump certainly has backed this nationwide effort to try and redraw districts ahead of the midterms to try and boost.
Yeah, it's because he's scared. He knows it's going to be a bloodbath, and it probably will. I don't even know if it's possible for them to gerrymander enough districts to make it not be a bloodbath for the Republicans. Because everything is just so fucked right now. Like the economy is so fucked. Like everybody feels it. Everybody knows it. Anybody who is not like a pedo billionaire is like, they all are aware of the current situation that we're living through. So I don't even think that even if they did immediately, like for the midterms, which is in like 6 months, even if they did gerrymander immediately. I don't know if they would be capable of doing it in a way in which the Republicans don't lose the House.
Republicans' chances. We haven't heard from the president yet about this ruling, but I suspect he certainly will have some positive comments to say about it. This is also worth noting that this announcement is coming just the morning after the president had 6 conservative Supreme Court justices on the guest list here last night for that lavish state dinner with the king. But there is no question that the president, we have seen him and other Republicans backing these efforts in many states across the country ahead of the midterms. And now, as Devin was noting, this will set off an opportunity for other states to try and follow suit, and it certainly could reduce the minority voter influence across the country going forward.
Yeah. Do you guys remember back when we all pretended, like we all collectively pretended that racism was over? Do you remember that? After Obama was elected and every liberal, every I don't know, even some like centrists, like in everybody, even some Republicans were like, okay, well, I guess racism is over then. We don't have to worry about this. Oh God. Yeah. People don't. Yeah. I mean, I was maybe that was back before I was more radicalized. So I might've bought into that fervor to some extent as well. But yeah, we're seeing how it's like the same way that we also like all collectively pretended that like the era of like colonialism is over. Even during like Israel's active colonization of Palestine or whatever. Like, I don't know, people love to just pretend like the problems of the past no longer exist. It's the same way I'm sure people right now think the era of slavery is over, right? I assure you it's not. Like, I know that might be like a scary thing for people to think about. Slavery will come back if we allow enough power and stuff to like enough money to get into a few enough amount of hands. Slavery will come back, and it's already starting to come back through prison. That's the way that that's the form that it's going to take. If people are unaware, I will give my prediction right now, is slavery will come back, but it's going to be made whole through the prison system. You justify it by saying they're criminals, and then you throw as many people into prison as possible, and then you use them as slave laborers in order to create super ultra mega profits for the pedo billionaires. That's how it's going to happen. So all of these things that we think are just like relics of the past or whatever, they aren't. They can always come back. As it only takes the material conditions to bring them back, as we're seeing right now through this sort of like gutting of the civil rights and like the reintroduction of Jim Crow, right? It's going to come back. All of the horrible atrocities of the past will come back if we do not actively fight to stop them from happening. So sorry to go bummer mode at the end, but they can be stopped. And the long arc of history does tend towards progress. It's going to take concerted effort, and it's not going to be a fun battle to get there, to get to a better situation. So anyway, let's go ahead and move on to another congressional related thing.
In the day's other headline.
So Graham Plattner is running for Senate in Maine. A lot of people are worried that he's going to Fetterman everybody because of his past when it comes to having a Nazi tattoo and being a Reddit edgelord. Generally, I think he has proven himself to an extent. I think that I probably trust him to not Fetterman everybody. But you obviously be diligent, and you can't like not trust everybody, right? Like if you can't trust people at all, every single person, or most people, I would say, who run for Congress have like, shitty histories that could be interpreted as like, counter-revolutionary or whatever, right? So like you can't just not trust everybody. I personally think that Graham Plattner is probably not a Nazi anymore, maybe. And so, but anyway, apparently he is. So he's like the left flank candidate when it comes to this Maine Senate primary, and his opponent, Governor Janet Mills, was running against him. She was the corporate Schumer-backed politician who was running against him in the primary. And so she dropped out. She read the polling, the same polling that everybody else was reading, and just figured that it was impossible, I'm guessing. So let's watch this video. I gotta go use the bathroom, but I'm gonna start it for you guys, and then I'll be back commentate.
In the day's other headlines, Maine Governor Janet Mills dropped her Senate bid in a race seen as a litmus test for which candidates can best help the Democrats in this year's midterms. The two-term governor said that while she was eager to carry on the campaign, she simply does not have the financial resources to do so. That leaves oyster farmer and political newcomer Graham Plattner with a clear path to the Democratic nomination. He's vowed to work with Mills in unseating the Republican incumbent.
We need to beat Susan Collins. That's what this project has been about since the beginning. That is exactly what the governor got in it to do as well. And I think we all at this moment need to come together and recognize that building power for working people across the state, that's how we're going to do it.
The 41-year-old military veteran held a strong lead over Mills in the lead up to the June primary. That's despite controversy over past online comments about women and a tattoo he has since covered, widely seen as a Nazi symbol, though Plattner.
Oh, whoops. Okay, wait a second. So she dropped out because she didn't have the money? Wait a second. What? I thought she dropped out because she saw the polling. If she didn't, like, she was the corporate-backed, Schumer-backed candidate. If they... That's a kind of big deal, because if they are unable to fund her, like, if they're seeing her candidacy as not worth the money, with just Graham Plattner, I think he's been up by like anywhere from 5 to 10% in the polls. That's kind of a sea change, because they spent unlimited money, I feel like, on Cuomo's campaign against Zoran, and like historically they are not shy from spending unlimited money to get rid of left flank candidates, right? So if they actually are unable to afford it, number one, that means that they're running out of money. Like, they are running out of money fast, because if they had the money, then they would be spending it. I'm guessing maybe donors are starting to not like the Democratic Party for a couple reasons. Maybe, like, one, they keep losing, obviously, like, and also primarily they keep losing with the types of candidates that donors like, corporate centrist types. And so if the only people that can win now are left populists, then they might just start abandoning the Democratic Party altogether, and the Democratic Party might have to, you know, start looking for other sources of revenue other than like pedo billionaires. They might have to, you know, start trying to get funding from the actual people. I know, shocker. That would be crazy. But yeah, I don't know. This is an interesting situation if that's the case. I was very surprised when I heard that dick in hand peeing.
Says he was unaware until recently that the image had been associated with Nazi police. Maine is a key state for the Democrats should they hope to retake control of the Senate this fall. In Texas, officials at Camp Mystic are dropping plans to reopen this summer amid outrage by family members who lost loved ones in last year's flooding.
Well, I don't care about Camp Mystic. What's going on here? Are they done? Is that all I get about Graham Plattner? Okay, PBS NewsHour. Man, you get a downvote from me for that. I keep getting clickbaited, man. Okay, it's 1 minute and 18. I was hoping that they would talk more about the you know, about her dropping out, and about and give more response from Plattner. I mean, I guess he responded a little bit. He talked about them all coming together. You know, I mean, I agree. Like, as many of those Janet Mills people who are willing to come over and vote for, like, hold their nose and vote for Graham Plattner, sure. I would say don't change. He shouldn't change his policies at all to try to win those people over. If they're not going to come over, like, you'll lose voters if you pivot to the center, is what I would tell him. Like, don't try to attain those voters by changing your policies, or else you will end up losing more votes than you gain from trying to win them over. But anyway, okay, well, that was a short video. Let's see what else. Oh, okay, we got some more. Okay, I'm gonna move on to a quick read of a piece of legislation. So this is a piece of legislation that was that I think is about to go through Congress, or maybe already has. But instead of okay, let me try to set this up. So we currently have a lot of problems, right? I think most people would agree with that. We currently we're at war with Iran. We're essentially entering World War III, it feels like. Israel is committing genocide against every country that borders it. The American pedo billionaires are making out like bandits with super ultra mega profits, while the vast majority of people are barely able to make ends meet. If you break a single bone, then you might be destitute for the rest of your life and have to, live in a tent under a bridge or whatever. Like, there's a lot of, problems that we have. Our infrastructure is like crumbling at a record pace, right? And so, but guys, the people in Congress, they hear you, okay? They hear what you're mad about and they are ready to fix it. And I think this piece of legislation is really, it really is a perfect example of that, because what this piece of legislation does is it condemns Hasan Piker. This piece of legislation is taking on the problems that we, the people, that you and me both care about the most, and that is condemning Hasan Piker. I condemn Hasan Piker, you condemn Hasan Piker, and it's our major issue, the main thing that we want from our the highest legislative body in the world is we want them right now to be creating legislation around condemning Hasan Piker. Obviously, I am joking, people. This is stupid and pointless and a waste of fucking time. And so I'm going to read it all for you together, and we will commentate, and we will and we'll see if maybe it'll change my mind. Maybe this is necessary. Okay. This is House Res question unknown yet. Condemning anti-Semitic hate-filled rhetoric and content disseminated by prominent online personalities and urging social media platforms and public leaders to denounce and address such conduct. Okay, see, that's the condemnation right there. I think they're talking about me. We'll see. I don't think they're going to mention technically Clay in here, but who knows? Who knows? In the House of Representatives, Gottheimer submitted the following resolution. Okay. Condemning anti-Semitic hate-filled rhetoric and content disseminated by prominent online personalities. Okay, I'm not that prominent, so I think I'm safe right now. And urging social media platforms and public leaders to denounce and address such conduct. Whereas the rise of digital media platforms has enabled individuals with large audiences to disseminate disinformation, commentary, and political viewpoints to millions of viewers worldwide. Okay, the wording of this is a little bit interesting. The rise of digital media platforms has enabled individuals, aka people who are not beholden to the same corporate donors that all of the people in power are, and the people at like major news organizations are, with large audience to disseminate disinformation. Okay, I don't like disseminating disinformation. I never engage in that. But commentary and political viewpoints to millions of viewers worldwide. Isn't that just First Amendment? Like, aren't you supposed to be allowed to engage in like disseminating commentary and disseminating political viewpoints? If that's a bad thing, then I fundamentally misunderstood what our entire country was about. Like, honestly, I thought we had a First Amendment right to commentary and political viewpoints, but apparently Josh Gottheimer has a problem with the Constitution. Whereas such influence carries a heightened responsibility to avoid rhetoric that promotes hatred, violence, or discrimination against any group, including Jewish individuals and communities. Heightened responsibility to avoid rhetoric that promotes hatred, violence, or discrimination against any group. No, I don't think you should have to not promote hatred or violence or discrimination towards any group. I think that you should not do it against protected groups. And that includes Jewish people. I don't think that you should be allowed to disseminate hatred, violence, or discrimination against Jews. I do honestly not care if you promote hatred, violence, or discrimination against Nazis, like the IDF or the State of Israel. I don't really care if you disseminate hatred, violence, or discrimination against Nazis. That's a political ideology. That's not a protected class. You're allowed to hate Nazis. I don't know if people understand this. You're allowed to hate Nazis. Also, like the KKK, I don't care if you promote hatred or discrimination against the KKK. They should be discriminated against. They have a terrible worldview. Like, what are we talking about here? So yeah, if you're promoting hatred or discrimination, I don't know about violence necessarily. Even people with abhorrent worldviews, I don't know if you should necessarily be calling for violence against them, maybe, but you should hate and you should discriminate against Nazis. That's my personal opinion. And like, I consider Zionism to be Nazism. So there's that as well. But whereas anti-Semitism has surged in the United States and globally in recent years, it has, fueled in part by online disinformation, conspiracy theories, and extremist rhetoric. Sure, yeah, conspiracy theories, like Candace Owens is on one for sure. But also, you're missing the biggest one. The ADL exists, and they're promoting anti-Semitism at a rate unheard of. And the state of Israel as well. Their primary export is anti-Semitism. If you constantly say that you are committing atrocities for in honor of the Jewish people, like every baby you kill is for the Jewish people, yeah, that's going to create a lot of anti-Semitism. So I feel like you're forgetting a large part of what has caused the surge in anti-Semitism, which is people conflating the state of Israel with the Jewish people, which Gottheimer, I think, was doing, right? Near the beginning of right after October 7th. I mean, I could be wrong. You can fact check me on that one. But whereas anti-Semitic incidents have significantly increased, including a 344% increase over the past 5 years and a 893% increase over the past 10 years. If those are ADL numbers, take them with a grain of salt. They consider anybody who is brown to be anti-Semitic. They consider if you are a Muslim person, you are anti-Semitic. If you believe that Palestinians shouldn't be, Palestinian babies shouldn't be murdered, then you are anti-Semitic, according to the ADL. So I would take those numbers with a grain of salt. Don't get me wrong, it has increased. There has been a legitimate increase in anti-Semitism due to Israel's unlimited baby murder, and saying that they are doing it for the Jewish people. That has happened, but and just general conspiratorializing on in the neo-Nazi circles has gone up significantly as well. I won't deny that, but yeah, these numbers should be taken a little bit skeptically. Assuming these are the ADL numbers, which I would have to verify. Whereas Hasan Piker, a prominent online streamer, has often used anti-Semitic rhetoric, including expressing support for Hamas. That's not anti-Semitic. Expressing support for Hamas, I wouldn't even say that Hasan has expressly supported Hamas. But I would say that he understands that they are a resistance group. They are resisting violent occupation and apartheid, in the same way slaves engaged in slave uprisings in the South and killed, they committed some atrocities. Like, slaves committed some atrocities against families of slave owners and stuff. You don't necessarily have to support them to understand why they exist. I would say that he just it does objective analysis, and that's what they get mad at, is when you do an objective analysis and you engage in reality with people who have been, living in a fantasy world their entire life. It makes them really mad. But I wouldn't say that Hasan expresses support for Hamas. He just understands why they exist. Whereas in August 2019, during a stream on Twitch, Hasan Piker said that America deserved 9/11. He's been over that a million times. This blowback, it's a theory of why 9/11 happened, right? Blowback is it has what's it called? It's a well agreed upon theory of acts of terror, why they occur. And everybody in the scientific community understands that to be the case. So the vast majority of people, there's consensus. That's the word I was looking for around the concept of blowback. Whereas Hasan Piker referred to Orthodox Jews as inbred. Well, he's referred to lots of people as inbred. I have also referred to like Jewish settlers as inbred, but it's, yeah, I mean, he's explained it. I'll explain it one more time for the people. When your ideology is Nazism, right, which, you know, Zionism is Nazism, the end state of that is genetic purity, and the end state of genetic purity is inbreeding. It always happens every single time. So it's just like an insult based on the political ideology of the people, of these people. Whereas Hasan Piker downplayed sexual violence committed by Hamas, a designated foreign terrorist organization, against innocent civilians on October 7, 2023, stating, "It doesn't matter if effing rapes happen on October 7th, like that doesn't change the dynamic for me." God, how many times do we have to relitigate all this? Number one, has there been any actual names of anybody who was actually like raped on October 7th? I know that like there's been the UN Council has gone out there and said that there is evidence that they occurred. I will take that at face value and assume that's the case, that it has occurred. However, I am very skeptical that none of these people who it allegedly happened to have like there's been no actual names put out there, and like there's been no actual like I haven't seen any evidence of this evidence that they saw. Maybe it's out there. I'm not saying that it's not out there, but I haven't seen it. But I do know that it wasn't systemic. It's impossible for it to be systemic because Hamas is not in a position of power against the people of Israel. Hamas cannot engage in systemic acts of sexual violence against the people of Israel because they don't have that power. It's like if like there could have been individual acts of like rape by a black person in the South against a white person, sure, like during the times of slavery, but there was no systematic sexual exploitation of white people by black people because that was not possible. They did not have the power to do so. There was, however, systemic sexual exploitation of black people by white people because of the apartheid system of slavery that was set up in the South. Similarly, there is systematic sexual exploitation of Palestinians by the Israelis in their prisons and in their settlements. And just generally speaking, sexual violence against them is just allowed by society. And in fact, they even go out there and do protests. And like when they arrested those 5 people who committed sexual assault against that Palestinian prisoner, the people of Israel went out there and protested and got those people off with no charges, essentially. So anyway, sorry, this is a big long-winded thing, but this thing is just saying it doesn't matter if they happen on October 7th. That doesn't change the dynamic for me. He's saying even if there were cases of sexual assault on October 7th, that does not justify genocide because nothing justifies genocide. I agree with that statement. Okay, people, that might be controversial of me to say. I'm opposed to genocide 100% all the time. There is no act that could be committed that would justify genocide. Not even genocide, by the way. Even Israel's genocide against the Palestinians does not mean that Israel deserves genocide themselves, you know? So I'm just saying, like, there is no act, even the most evil act that has ever existed, genocide itself does not justify genocide. And that's what Hasan is saying here. It's a pretty obvious and like easy thing to understand if you are not an idiot. Whereas Hasan Piker has expressed support for Hamas on multiple occasions, including on April 14, 2026, stating Hamas over Israel every single time, and doubling down on claims in multiple media appearances that Hamas is 1,000 times better than Israel. It is. That's an objective fact. You can't argue with that. Hamas has killed, or Israel has killed like 1,000 times more people, right? Israel has killed 1,000 times more babies. Israel has engaged in 1,000 times more acts of sexual violence. Like Israel has done everything that Hamas has done 1,000 times over. Like, what are we talking about? This is objective reality. I'm sorry that you don't like reality. Reality is too anti-Semitic for you, apparently. Oh, Candace Owens. Whoa, wait a second. This isn't just Hasan Piker. Wow. I'm a little bit surprised because usually they attack people who are anti-Zionist, like authentically anti-Zionist, who try to combat anti-Semitism but are principled anti-Zionists. Usually they view those people as much more dangerous than actual like anti-Semites like Candace Owens. So I'm genuinely a little bit surprised that she made an appearance here. But okay, let's see what she's done, because I'm probably going to agree a lot more with the Candace Owens portion. Whereas Candace Owens has employed rhetoric that has included conspiracy theories accusing Israel of controlling the United States government. You can't call that a conspiracy theory if it is objectively true. Like, you should stop doing this. You need to stop doing this because everybody understands lobbying. It's not that hard to understand the concept of lobbying. Like, they want to just live in an alternate reality where people don't understand that AIPAC like pays our politicians ungodly amounts of money to do what Israel wants, even at the expense of the American populace. Like, that is ridiculous. Like, I'm not also like, obviously the pedo billionaires at the top of America also benefit from the destabilizing efforts that Israel does and therefore want to continue funding Israel. Like, obviously that's the case as well. Like, from an ideological perspective and from a realpolitik, like moneyed interest or whatever, like their own moneyed interest. Like, obviously there's that as well, but Israel does do an incredible amount of lobbying. So you should leave that part out of it when you're talking about your conspiracy theories. She's talked about the Talmudic Jews. Maybe they'll get into that or whatever. Like, you can talk about that instead. Promoting false claims that Jews are taught by ancient religious texts to hate non-Jews. See, that's what I'm talking about. That is anti-Semitic. That's the Talmudic Jew stuff. She held up a book of the Talmudic Jew and like started talking about how like they're all like wage or like creating wage slaves or whatever, or like rent slaves, like of all the goyim or whatever. Like, yeah, she is incredibly anti-Semitic. And casting doubt on the truth of the stories of Holocaust survivors. Exactly. This is real anti-Semitism, like actual anti-Semitism. Whereas on the first one isn't, though. Israel controlling the United States government. That's why I'm saying they should leave that one out. Whereas on February 1st, 2026, Candace Owens posted on X an anti-Semitic claim that the United States is controlled by satanic pedophiles who work for Israel. I mean, we know that there is a cabal of pedo billionaires that are running our foreign policy. That was proven with the Epstein files. So that part is true. Working for the state of Israel, they work for a lot of states, not just Israel. They also work for, the oligarchs in Russia. They also work for the oligarchs in America. They're an international cabal that is working for a lot of these things, but Israel is a part of that. Now, if they said like satanic Jewish pedophiles, otherwise you're saying, whoops, okay, I dropped some frames there. Hopefully I'm still live, but Israel, like, yeah, they keep talking, like, maybe I don't know. This one's a little bit like 50-50. It depends on the context around it, I think, whether she's talking about Israel, Zionism, or Jewish people. So I'm going to give her a 50-50 on that one. I'd have to look into it a little bit more. Whereas during a podcast appearance on December 8th, 2025, Owens repeated false claims that Jews are killing Christian children as part of religious rituals. Okay, yeah, that's anti-Semitic. And that Jewish texts and traditions promote the SA of children, which is an anti-Semitic trope consisting of blood libel. That one is 100% accurate. I am fine with this portion. This portion is completely fine with me. Whereas, and I'm saying completely fine to, like, if you wanted to create a condemnation around it or whatever, like, I condemn this stuff. Whereas in July 2024, Candace Owens called the horrific medical experience committed by Joseph Mengele, I think that's how you say it, on Jews during the Holocaust, bizarre propaganda. I don't know what she's talking about when she says bizarre propaganda. If she's saying it's fake, then that's wrong. You shouldn't say that. That was like a well-recorded portion of the Holocaust. Continuing that some of the stories, by the way, sound completely absurd. Well, the Holocaust was an absurd moment of like history. Like it was an abnormal situation. Some of it does sound like incredibly absurd in hindsight, but after what we're currently living through, it's starting to sound more and more like, you know what I'm saying? Like I guess what I'm saying is like, I obviously most of the stuff that's been like reported on from the Holocaust is accurate. There are tons of corroborating evidence that it happened. Okay, that all of these things, these atrocities happened. But they do sound absurd. Like if you haven't lived through the times of fascism and how evil humanity can be, the banality of evil that exists in all of us, to allow evil things to happen. We just went through this with Gaza. We allowed some of the worst atrocities to ever occur in the modern era to be live streamed to us for 2 years. And it's still going on. The genocide is still happening in Gaza as we speak. Like, we are continuing to allow it to happen, and that is absurd. But now we have seen how we allow these evil things to take place. And they said downplaying and rejecting the veracity of these crimes. Yeah, you shouldn't do that. But also, I would say to Josh Gottheimer, you downplay and reject the veracity of the crimes of the modern era all the time. So glass houses, my dude. Whereas on February 21st, 2025, Candace Owens hosted Michael Jones, who claimed on her platform that Hollywood created the Holocaust narrative. You shouldn't be saying that. That's the classic, like, Jews control Hollywood, and yeah, shouldn't be saying that. Whereas the amplification of anti-Semitic narratives online can contribute to real-world harm, including harassment, intimidation, and violence against Jewish individuals, institutions, and communities. I mean, that's true as well. Whereas public officials, leaders, and technology companies have a responsibility to confront and condemn anti-Semitism in all its forms, including when it appears in online discourse and influencer-driven media. Now, therefore, be it. Okay. Yeah, this sort of like cancel culture shit, though. Technology companies have a responsibility to confront and condemn anti-Semitism. You know what they're talking about. They don't mean anti-Semitism. They mean anti-Israel stuff. They are fine with anti-Semitism, generally speaking. They only threw in Candace Owens in this just to make it look like it's not purely against anti-Zionism. Like they felt like they had to do that, but yeah, this is already happening, though. Technology companies already suppress anti-Zionist voices. They generally promote anti-Semitic voices, but again, Gottheimer doesn't care about that. They don't care about anti-Semitic voices getting prominence. They only care about anti-Zionist voices. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see where that goes. But anyway, now therefore be it resolved, that is the sense of House of Representatives, that anti-Semitic rhetoric and conspiracy theories disseminated by influential online personalities, including Hasan Piker and Candace Owens, are dangerous and contribute to a climate of hatred and intolerance. Candace Owens, definitely. Hasan combats like anti-Semitism all the time, to a point that is sometimes annoying how often he does it to his audience or whatever. Individuals with online platforms have a responsibility to refrain from promoting or amplifying anti-Semitic narratives and disinformation. No, they don't. I'm saying like they actually don't have a responsibility to do that under whatever the internet law, like the internet free speech law or whatever is, where like you're not responsible for what people say on your platform according to United States law. So that's what I was saying by that. I don't really necessarily mind if platforms have have policies that they use to maintain certain boundaries or whatever of discussion on their platforms, but I really don't like where those boundaries are set, because they're usually created in a way to target people like yours truly, like honestly, like leftists, especially smaller leftists. Or sorry, I forget. I'm apolitical. I'm an apolitical, common sense anti-capitalist. Anyway, social media should take appropriate steps to enforce their policies against hate speech and prevent the spread of anti-Semitic content. As long as it doesn't, as long as you don't count anti-Zionism, as long as you don't count like political ideology, you're allowed to talk about political ideology. So I think that if they start doing that, then that's bad. They shouldn't do that. They shouldn't like moderate people for engaging in political discourse, like about political ideology. But I don't care if they want to moderate against people like spewing actual anti-Semitism. But the problem is that Gottheimer and the people who made this legislation don't actually care about anti-Semitism. They only care about anti-Zionism, and that's how it will be enforced if they actually made law about this. Which this isn't law. This is just condemnation. Public officials and community leaders should unequivocally condemn anti-Semitism. I agree. Including when it is propagated by high-profile media figures and influencers. Sure, go for it. Condemn all you want. I'm not going to condemn Hasan Piker, but I will condemn Candace Owens. Fine. Efforts to downplay or excuse anti-Semitic rhetoric under the guise of political commentary, that's what I just did, should be rejected. And no, it shouldn't. We already have a concept of protected classes, okay? These are things that you are not able to change about yourself. You should not be discriminated against for, right? Like being Jewish, being black, being Muslim, all of these things. You should not be discriminated against for. And I don't care if you want to moderate your platform based on those identities, things that you cannot change. Political ideology is something that people change all the time. You're not born a Zionist. You're not born a, I don't know, like a Nazi, right? Like you're allowed to critique Nazism. You're allowed to critique Zionism. That's stupid. The United States reaffirms its commitment to combating anti-Semitism and ensuring the safety and dignity of Jewish individuals and communities, both online and offline. Sure, I agree. They should be protected. It's hard to protect them when Israel is out there propagating as much anti-Semitism as they possibly can, though. And also, Gottheimer himself has engaged in, anti-Semitic conflations between the state of Israel and the Jewish people. So, I'm trying to do my job every day of separating Zionism from Judaism, but it's really hard when you have so many people in positions of power trying to conflate the two things. Including this piece of legislation right here. This piece of legislation is engaging in anti-Semitism because you're conflating an anti-Zionist like Hasan Piker with Candace Owens. By doing so, you are whitewashing Candace Owens like actual anti-Semitism when you do this. So this is an anti-Semitic piece of legislation in and of itself. Josh Gottheimer should stop engaging in these types of acts of anti-Semitism that boost anti-Semitism across the country. I'm being serious. They need to stop doing this stuff because they are creating ungodly amounts of anti-Semitism every time they do this shit. So, I don't know, man. Like this was one of the most annoying pieces of legislation I've ever seen. I felt obligated to talk about it, just because like it's so silly. We have so many more important things to be doing than condemning Hasan Piker in the House of Representatives. So, whatever. Whatever. That's all I got to say on the matter. You guys heard my opinion. I blathered on a lot there. So, okay, let's go ahead and move on now to X.com, people. We're moving on to the X.com. We're going to stay here as long as I feel like it. Okay. What do we got? April 29th. Why are you showing me that? It's May 1st. It's May Day. Oh, crap. Wait. Was I supposed to cover a May Day thing? I'll cover it. Well, I guess it'll be too late the next time that I do it. Sorry, I don't think I had that on the right tab either. Okay. Let's go ahead and scroll around on X. We'll see if we can find anything. Oh, here we go. Corey Bush today, Aloe Plaza, 5:30. Tune in on Twitch to join Corey and Hasan to celebrate May Day, support workers, and fight back against Trump's MAGA agenda. Join us for St. Louis' biggest International Workers' Day action. Aloe Plaza. I'm gonna be there. So well, because I want to see. I'm mainly going because I want to see Hasan. I've never actually seen him in person before, so. But also, I've been doing a lot of canvassing for Corey Bush, so I'm hoping that'll earn me some brownie points and my ability to interact with Hasan. Well, we'll see. Really, I just want a picture. I've never gotten a picture with him, so I think that would be cool. What do we got? Oh yeah, the guy. Okay. Mayor Zoran Kwame Mamdani. Last night, Israeli forces intercepted and boarded a humanitarian aid flotilla bound for Gaza in international waters off the coast of Greece, unlawfully detaining more than 175 people, including several New Yorkers. My team has been in direct contact with state and federal partners as we work to confirm the whereabouts and conditions of these New Yorkers. This is a brazen violation of international law. Those detained must be released. Yeah, you're not allowed to just detain an aid flotilla. Like you're not allowed to stop international organizations from bringing aid to a conflict zone. That's illegal. In fact, I think that's a war crime. I think it's a war crime to do that. Now, obviously, we live in the post-war crime era, so that doesn't matter. But there are obviously, we do need to keep pushing to break the siege on Gaza because they are still committing genocide against the people of Gaza, and they desperately need this aid over there. So keep it up, Mayor Kwame. I hope that you can get your New Yorkers freed, and hopefully one of these days Israel won't try to stop every piece of food from going into going into Gaza. Like, we can only hope. Statements, this is from Jacobin, statements far more reprehensible than anything Hasan the Hun has said are regularly written and spoken by prominent liberals in respectable outlets, but because war and Islamophobia are acceptable in elite democratic circles, they don't raise an eyebrow. That's true. That whole piece of legislation we just read about condemning Hasan Piker, you're never going to see a piece of legislation condemning the Islamophobia of like, I don't know, pretty much, honestly, like most members of Congress have engaged in acts of Islamophobia. There was one prominent one that I was trying to remember, but I'm so bad with names. It's hard for me to remember all the names of our Congress people. But yeah, that's just normalized. That's considered status quo. Like, Islamophobia is still the last bastion of like acceptable bigotry in American politics, is what I would say. Abdul El Sayed. Apparently me and Chuck Schumer are best friends now. Must be our shared views on foreign policy. I don't know what he's referring to here. I assume that this sequence of laughing faces means that he's joking. I hope so. Please, dear God, I do not want Abdul El Sayed to be making friends with Chuck Schumer. That would be counter-revolutionary. And you know what I think about counter-revolutionaries? Don't like them. Okay, what's this? A massive crowd, new video, a massive crowd lines up hours early for President Trump's event in Florida with supporters singing the Star Spangled Banner ahead of his remarks on economic issues at the Village. Okay, I'm sure this won't be cringe at all, people. Let's watch. What do we think? This is my cringe. I should do it this way for you guys. Wait, let me see. Okay. This is not cringe. This is super cringe. I'll put up the cringe meter for this. Oh, okay. Oh, that person's trying hard. Cringe meter's going up. Okay, right about here. Okay. There we go. That's pretty cringe, I won't lie. I get really, like, I'm not gonna lie. I'm one of those guys who doesn't stand up for the national anthem at the at the games, especially right now when I don't feel very patriotic. It's one of those acts of performative, patriotism that I really fucking hate. Like my autism just gets in the way. Like I can't I don't know. I can't like do it because I know that I'm just doing this because everybody else is doing it, and to not like make a scene or whatever, or like if I do engage in it, like it's like I don't really feel patriotic at all, especially right now. So I just like, and I know that there's a lot of people out there who feel the same way as me, but engage in it anyway. I don't know. I just get really frustrated with performative patriotism. I think there's much more patriotic acts you can do than this bullshit. And yes, this was incredibly cringe. However, you know, being cringe isn't a crime. So I won't arrest them. I won't go out there and do a citizen's arrest against all of these cringe people engaging in performative acts of patriotism as they slowly destroy our country. It's so funny. It is kind of funny that like the people who think they're patriotic are the ones who are engaging in the acts that like that are going to you know, that are slowly hollowing out our country into a husk of a shell, like just allowing it to be like picked and looted by our pedo billionaires like over and over again. Yeah, great. You know what? We live in a great country, don't we, folks? Okay, what else we got? Let's see who this is. Chris Rabb. I've heard of Chris Rabb. I heard his name. I don't know anything about him. Adri says Chris Rabb discusses with Hasan not only the importance of the black vote, but respecting the black vote. Have you heard about the new legislation, the new interpretation of the Voting Rights Amendment? Apparently, the Supreme Court disagrees with you. Every politician in the USA needs to hear this right now. Let's see what they have to say. Chris Rabb.
You can't be a Democratic candidate for president or for most statewide office and win without black people. You know, there's a rule of thumb in this state that you need at least 11% of the total voting population in Pennsylvania for a Democrat to win. And that 11% has to come from Philly because we're the largest city by a long shot. And this is a black city. So if black folk don't show up, we all lose. But when we do show up, we're not the first at the trough. We don't get the things. So our vote is taken for granted, particularly black women.
That's true.
Because black women are the last true loyal bastion of the Democratic base.
Yeah. Everything he's saying is straight facts. Black people are expected to vote for Democrats just in general. The Democratic establishment like just expects them to vote for them, and while they consistently do not advance any policies that would materially improve the lives of black people, it's very gross how the Democratic Party operates, especially when it comes to various identities. Same with like gay people, same with trans people, same with anytime you hear like the lesser evil argument, they're usually engaging in like an act of like just like expectation of your vote without earning it. And I think that that's starting to change, but I don't know.
Democratic base. But black men are not too far below that. So were there younger men of all ethnicities who were turned off or who felt disconnected? Yeah, but that's not based on blackness. That's based on exclusion
across the
and
board.
erasure. You can't be a
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, who am I? I'm just like a little white anti-capitalist on YouTube. So, you listen to him, not me. He knows more about it than I do, I'm sure. But yeah, anyway, Mike from PA says Hasan consistently finds the most exciting and up and coming leftist politicians, so much talent. Make sure you support Chris Rabb in the upcoming primaries in Pennsylvania. So he's in Pennsylvania. Cool. Yeah. Hasan is really raising the prominence of, like, I think he's doing like the Lord's work out there, really, like, honestly. Going around the country, like using his profile to try and help insurgent politicians remake the Democratic Party. I feel like he feels like he has an obligation to do this. And obviously, he's a very wealthy individual. And like some people, I'm sure, also like traveling that much and like doing all this sort of stuff. I would never want to be traveling this much doing all this. It would be like too stressful for me. So I don't know. I have a lot of respect for him and doing what he feels is his duty to get like more left playing politicians, as he likes to call them, elected, and using his profile in honor of that like goal or whatever. Who's this?
I want to be friends with Hasan. Hasan, do you feel like talking about the specter of communism?
Yes!
Oh, a fellow the specter of communism enthusiast. I could talk about...
What is this? This like Animal Crossing ass, like, is this like a game or something, or like an engine? I don't know what this is.
Oh, a fellow the specter of communism enthusiast. I could talk about the specter of communism all day, and sometimes I do.
Yeah, he does, actually.
Well, did you know that the specter of communism is closely related to Israeli-Palestinian conflict?
Oh, shit! They have so much to talk about.
I want to be...
This is very like Animal Crossing's-esque. I don't know what this game is, but that was interesting. What's this? On May 1st, 1997, AOL Instant Messenger was released. Now, okay, I was on AIM back in the day. Like, while I have a strong distaste for modern social media platforms, I will say that I'm glad that the idea of like group chats and like random shit like that, like random like group chats and whatnot, does not exist on modern social media, or as far as I know. I'm sure actually it probably does. Now that I'm thinking about it, it probably does in like weird Facebook groups and stuff. Yeah, I bet it does. Never mind. Maybe modern social media. I was gonna give modern social media like an eensy bit of credit for being better than AIM in that regard, because I was in some weird chat rooms where people got real weird, man, back in the day. So I was going to say I'm glad that kids don't have to go through that, but I'm sure they still go through that to some extent. So never mind. I take it all back. What's this? Ooh, I remember that noise. Oh, yeah. I mean, I got both good and bad memories from AIM. I remember it was very like anytime you got like, okay, so I'm talking like middle school era. This was like middle school era for me. If you got like a girlfriend or whatever, right? Like if you recently started dating somebody, I remember specifically putting like little things in the corner, or like your little like profile picture thing you could make, like I love so and so or whatever, like I remember doing that for my first couple girlfriends and whatnot. I remember what was my name? Oh god. Do you guys want to know what my name was in AIM? It was MCR Forever, like with the number 4, like My Chemical Romance Forever. Which honestly, in terms of all the cringe ass names I could have had, right? In terms of all of the cringe ass names I could have had, like the cringe ass bands I could have chosen, right? I think that My Chemical Romance honestly holds up pretty fucking good. That was in middle school, by the way. If you guys want to know my emo creds, like my emo punk creds, like that was in middle school. I had the handle MCR forever. So there you go, people. There's a little Clay we're looking at retro news. There's a little bit of technically Clay lore that you can file away in your compendium of all the things you know about me, all the things I've allowed you to know about me. That's one of them. There you go, people. What's this? Opinion. If Democrats actually want to lower the temperature, they have to stop platforming the people who raise it. And then there's a picture of a Donald Trump impersonator and a guillotine. I don't think so. We don't have the capacity to stop platforming the people who raise it, because the person who raises the most amount of violent rhetoric is Donald Trump, the president of the United States, who is obviously already platformed. You can't deplatform the president, and he engages in violent rhetoric all the time. What these people are mad at, like what they're really frustrated with, is that Democrats have historically always been the you go low, we go high group, right? Which was good for the people in power. It was good for the people in power that the Democrats would just roll over and die anytime anytime the right engages in violent political rhetoric, right? Usually, like in the past, Democrats would just lay over and die whenever that happened. They would say, you go low, well, we're going high. But now the Democratic Party is finally being forced to, I'm not saying they even want to, they're being forced to engage in, getting down in the muck, getting in the dirt, right? By their constituents. And so, that's what they're getting really mad about, is they don't want a fundamentally different Democratic Party, which is what they're starting to get. A Democratic Party that is controlled not by corporate oligarchs and like pedo billionaires, but instead is controlled by the people, who has to listen to the will of the people and engage in the politics and policies that the people who voted them in want. So that's what USA Today is actually mad about here, and what all of the people who are getting real, in their feels about people engaging in like violent political rhetoric. It's like, it's inevitable that people engage in, if you steep the entire American public with the modern day Republican Party, who wants to essentially kill all black people, I mean, that's a little bit of hyperbole, but not much of hyperbole in terms of what their policy platform is. They constantly are engaged in calling gay people and trans people pedos or whatever. They're engaging and they're trying to deport any immigrant who has criticized the Trump administration at all. They're engaging in acts of political violence and violent rhetoric all the time, 24/7. We just all pretend like it's normal at this point, but it's not normal. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I disagree, USA Today. The people who normalize political violence were the right. You're just mad that the Democrats aren't laying over and dying like you're used to them doing. So get wrecked. Go cry harder. Antifa Ultras. No platform, no mercy, no space, no safe space for Nazis. I agree. There shouldn't be safe space for Nazis. That's what I was talking about earlier. It's okay to to make fun of Nazis. I won't say that it's okay to punch Nazis, because I don't know if YouTube treats Nazis as a protected class. From my history, I've from some of my interactions with the YouTube platform, I think that sometimes they tend to treat Nazis as a protected class. So I won't say that I condone that, okay? But we can be mean to Nazis. As far as I'm aware, YouTube doesn't get all butthurt if you're mean to Nazis. At least not yet. Maybe someday. Okay, let's see. This is Jennifer Welch, this is the I've Had It podcast lady. Let's see what she has to say here.
Why can't we at iHip News have crazy camera angles? Why? Why can't we? Why can't we act fucking unhinged?
That's like me when I put up my camera over there. Maybe I should get a second camera so that I can like click between them and like look back and forth. And you guys can see my beautiful face from different angles. Maybe that's what I should do.
I want to be unhinged for America. I want to be crazy for America. I want to wake up this morning for her. America's pronouns, she, her. All right, that's all we have. Make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure.
Okay, I've watched some of Jennifer Welch's like interactions with people. I didn't know that she was this funny. This is really funny.
She, her. All right, that's all we have. Make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you pre-order my book, which I would like to dedicate to one Erica Kirk, not today fascist. And Erica, the person that I'm talking about today, fascist, is you. You are the racist fascist about whom I am talking to. The work that your husband's company and that you are doing to America's youth to make them racist, narrow-minded, hateful, and batshit crazy is an absolute disgrace. And thank you for the outfit, #inspo.
Well, my God, that was funnier than I ever expected Jennifer Welch could be. I am very impressed. I'm giving that a like. I'm gonna even hit her with a let's hit her with an emoji. Cry. Where's the cry laughing? No lie, I didn't know lids could be this funny. There we go. What do we think, people? Because I think she still considers herself a liberal. So there you go. Okay. You know what? Actually, you know what, guys? I think I'm going to get out of here. It's 2.5 hours into the broadcast. That was a really funny one. I was having a great time. I think that's a perfect note to end on. So thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the first stream back after 3 days of absence. I'll be posting some clips tomorrow after the stream is clippable or whatever. And go out there, enjoy your day. If you're living in the St. Louis area, I mean, I don't have a ton of viewers or whatever, but if you are a St. Louisan who lives in the area, there is the May Day rally, I think, that they're having at Aloe Plaza. Let me see. Cori Bush May Day. Where is it? Sorry about that. Cori Bush Aloe Plaza. I think it's this one. One sec. Okay. Here we go. I'll end it with this screen. So yeah, if you want to go support Cori Bush at the rally, I'll probably be there. I'm planning on going. Yeah, thank you all for watching. If you're watching the VOD, love you too. And I should be here. This should be back to normal starting, today, tomorrow. Going forward, you should get your daily dose of Technically Clay. So, yeah. This has been Technically Clay, and the stream is technically over. Where is it? There. Bye-bye.